Okay, so I want everyone listening to just close their eyes for a second.
Unless you are driving, of course. Keep them open if you are driving.
Yeah, definitely keep them open if you were behind the wheel.
Yeah.
But just conceptually, I want you to visualize a very specific, very Midwest kind of misery. It is January. You are in Chicago.
Oh, man. Say no more.
Right. The sky isn't just gray. It is that oppressive, heavy slate color that feels like a ceiling just a few feet above your head. And the air, it literally hurts your face.
It's that total disrespect, that wind chill that feels deeply personal, like the city is actively trying to get you to leave.
Exactly. It is hostile architecture, but made entirely out of weather.
Right.
And then you make a decision. You buy a ticket. You suffer through 4 hours in a metal tube, breathing recycled air, your knees just crushed against the seat in front of you.
The necessary tax you have to pay.
The tax, yeah. And then the doors open, you step off the plane, and you walk into just gold. Pure 65-degree sunlit California gold.
It is the ultimate geography hack.
It really is. And that feeling, that immediate sensory whiplash, is where we are starting today. We are doing a deep dive into this really cool piece of narrative nonfiction called California Gold, a weekend wedding in Seal Beach.
Which on the surface sounds like a literal travel brochure, but it is actually way deeper than that once you get into it.
Way deeper. On paper, sure, it is a travelogue. A guy goes to his best friend's Islamic wedding, a Nikkah, in California for the weekend. But once you actually get into the source material, it's a study in friendship, it's about cultural immersion, and honestly, it's about the psychology of the micro-vacation.
That is the part that really hooked me. The idea that a 72-hour trip, if you execute it right, can trick your brain into thinking you have lived a whole season of life. It's literal time dilation.
Totally. So that is our mission today. We're going to unpack how this narrator turned a standard wedding obligation into what he basically calls a perfect memory. We're looking at the friction between high-stakes cultural etiquette. And wait until we get to the outfits, man, and the absolute lowest stakes hangouts imaginable.
Plus, there's just some genuinely funny commentary in here on male friendship, the raw anxiety of eating messy food while wearing expensive white clothes, and why vintage golf clubs are objectively hilarious.
Right. Let's just start at the beginning. The departure. Friday evening. The narrator has a very specific ritual for flying to California. He watches The Godfather.
Every single time.
Every time.
Yeah.
And he's not just watching it because of a classic cinema thing. He has a working theory here. He says it is long enough to carry you there and good enough to make you forget you were sitting in a metal tube at 30,000 feet.
Which is actually a brilliant strategy for travel anxiety if you think about it. Just think about the headspace of flying. You are cramped, you are bored, you are hyper-aware of the passage of time.
Yeah, every minute takes an hour.
Exactly. And if you watch a sitcom, you are getting booted back to reality every 22 minutes when the credits roll. You check your watch, you think, are we there yet?
But The Godfather...
The Godfather is an immersive universe. It is dark, it is slow-paced, it requires your full bandwidth to track the plot. He is essentially dissociating from the physical discomfort of economy class by mentally stepping into 1940s New York.
It's basically travel hypnosis. By the time Michael Corleone is settling all the family business, you're touching down at LAX.
Yeah.
So the movie ends, they land, they grab an Uber, and they head down to Seal Beach. And this is where the narrator makes a really sharp observation about the difference between Chicago nice and California nice.
I loved this distinction so much because usually people just throw around the phrase, oh, people in the Midwest are so friendly, but he digs way deeper into the why of it. He says Chicago nice has grit to it, it has density, it's a hustle kind of nice.
Meaning you basically have to earn it.
Meaning it exists in spite of the environment. You are nice to people because you are all collectively suffering through the cold together. It's literally a trauma bond. It is a camaraderie of survival.
But California nice. How does he frame that?
He calls it sunlit and spread out.
Breathable.
Breathable, exactly. That is a tactile description of the infrastructure itself. In a dense city like Chicago or New York, you are physically fighting for space all day. On the sidewalk, on the train. Your cortisol is naturally higher just because of the friction of other human bodies.
You're always on guard.
Right. But in this part of California, Seal Beach specifically, the space is just given to you. The sidewalks are wide, the sky is huge.
And that total lack of physical friction just immediately changes your nervous system.
Instantaneously. You drop your shoulders. You stop scanning the perimeter for threats.
And then there is the weather factor. He calls 65 degrees in January a cheat code. He says it feels like winter is something that only happens to other people.
That is the stolen joy of travel right there. When you leave a harsh environment for a gentle one, you feel like you got away with a crime. You hacked the matrix, and that sets your dopamine baseline for the entire trip.
So they arrive, they do the standard, we just got off a plane routine. Uber, Thai food, the immediate physical crash of travel. But let's fast forward to Saturday morning, because this is where the micro-vacation philosophy really kicks into high gear.
The 7 a.m. wake up.
Without an alarm, which is insane.
It is rare. Usually if you wake up at 7 on a Saturday at home, you are furious. You are laying there like, why is my brain doing this to me? I want to sleep. But here, his body just knew it was ready to be awake.
He walks outside to meet his friend at a Marriott nearby, and he really highlights the sensory details of that walk.
Yeah.
No gloves, no winter hat, no face stain, just comfortably existing outdoors.
That is the novelty factor at play. Your brain pays significantly more attention to brand new sensations. Walking out to get a coffee without a heavy coat in January is a deeply novel event for a Chicagoan.
It wakes you up.
It does. And that is exactly why these short trips feel so much longer than they actually are. Your brain is recording way more data points because everything feels new and fresh.
So they meet up and head to the Navy golf course. Now, for the golfers listening, this is not Pebble Beach. He describes it as a par 3 type place,
Built for us, he says.
which I completely interpret as we can be absolutely terrible here and no one is going to care.
Oh, 100%. There is a time for high-end, pristine experiences, and there is a time for absolute comfort. They just got off a flight, they are a little tired, they just want to hang out, they do not want some strict marshal judging their swing speed. They want a DoorDash breakfast sandwich and a seltzer.
They play a scramble format with the groom. For anyone who doesn't golf, that basically means everyone hits a ball, you find the best one, and everyone hits from there. It is the communist approach to golf.
It is the best way to play if you want to stay friends. It completely removes the individual failure aspect. You succeed as a group, you fail as a group.
And the vibe just sounds immaculate. He says it was one of those days where you were laughing way more than you were thinking.
That is such a great metric for a vacation. The laugh-to-think ratio. If you are overthinking about work, about your golf score, about the dinner schedule, you aren't really recharging. You need to entirely shut down the executive function part of your brain.
They even almost hit a birdie, which he says was close enough to feel like it counted.
In a scramble with your buddies, close enough is absolutely a win. It counts in the soul.
So the groom eventually has to bail to go do, groom things. He has to get ready to the actual wedding events. But the narrator and his other buddy, they are not done. They find another course to play a quick 9. And this is where the comedy really hits for me. They have to rent clubs.
The time machine bag.
Describe what they found in this rental bag.
Okay, so he says there was a one-wood in the bag.
A one-wood. I didn't even know those existed in the wild anymore.
Exactly. For context, for non-golfers, nobody calls it a one-wood anymore. It is a driver. And modern drivers are these massive aerodynamic titanium spaceships. A wooden one-wood from 1978 is basically a hockey stick with a block of varnished wood at the end.
It's a museum piece.
It is physically impossible to hit well. The sweet spot is the size of a green pea.
He jokes that he felt like he was joining the PGA Tour via a time machine. But I honestly love that they played with him anyway. They didn't get snobby and say, oh, the equipment is trash, let's just go home. They totally leaned into the absurdity of it.
And that is the element of pure play that we as adults constantly forget. We get so obsessed with optimizing all of our hobbies, having the best gear, the perfect conditions, the smartwatch tracking our heart rate. We forget how fun it is to just hack around a field with garbage equipment and just laugh at how incredibly bad you are.
It lowers the stakes to absolute zero.
Exactly.
So after this ridiculous round of golf, they head back to the Airbnb. It's just the 3 friends, pre-gaming, sitting around talking.
Yeah.
And the narrator drops this line that I think really anchors the whole piece. He says, LA might be expensive, but sitting with favorite people and just existing is priceless.
That right there, that is the gold in the title California Gold. It is not just the sunshine, it is the extreme rarity of that specific kind of time. As you get older, friendship becomes highly logistical. You basically have to project manage it. You text someone, can you do dinner on the 14th?
No, I have kids' soccer. How about the 21st?
Right. It is a calendar negotiation. It feels like setting up a business meeting.
But on a trip like this, you strip all those logistics away. You are just there,
Yeah.
in a room, with nothing to do but talk.
Mm.
That is incredibly rare for men in their 30s or 40s, just existing in the exact same space without an agenda.
It's a reset.
But the existing phase has to end eventually. It is Saturday night, time for the first official event, the Nikkah dinner.
Right, so we should probably clarify what that is for the listeners who might not know. A Nikkah is the Islamic marriage contract ceremony. It is often separate from the big reception party. It can be very traditional, very religious. It is the serious part of the marriage.
And the narrator and his friends are, let's just say, they are not locals to this tradition.
Not even close. They are entering a completely different cultural ecosystem.
And he is very self-aware about it, which I appreciate. He talks about trying to navigate the etiquette, trying to stay in their lane. It's that super relatable feeling of being a guest in someone else's culture. You desperately want to be respectful, but you are terrified of doing something accidentally offensive because you just don't know the rules.
You are hyper-analyzing every move you make, so how does he actually handle that anxiety?
He finds the bubble tea station.
The universal language of sugar.
He says, I immediately decided that was my lane, which is such a smart move in an awkward party. It gives you a prop, you have something to do with your hands, you look busy, you look engaged, you are drinking your little boba.
It physically grounds you. But then while he is standing there with his bubble tea, trying his hardest to look respectful and culturally assimilated, he looks up at the TV screens in the venue.
And this is the most jarring image in the whole story.
The Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers game is playing.
At a formal, traditional Nikkah dinner in Southern California.
He describes it as feeling like the Midwest had snuck into the room wearing a hoodie.
It is such a wild clash of contexts. You travel 2,000 miles to immerse yourself in something brand new, something deeply spiritual, and boom, there's the NFL, just reminding you of home.
It is a funny reminder that you can never truly escape where you are from, but it also sounded like it broke the tension for them. It gave them a familiar touchstone, a little slice of normalcy in the middle of all the unfamiliarity.
Speaking of breaking tension, they have this incredibly funny interaction with another guest. A guy he describes as a huge dude with a big beard.
Oh yeah, the grunt.
The guy just makes eye contact with him and grunts. And the narrator somehow fluently translates this grunt to mean, go eat.
I honestly think this is a highly valid form of communication, especially at large weddings. Male communication often just devolves into nonverbal cues to save energy. A slight nod towards the bar means get a drink. A grunt towards the buffet clearly means the food station is open for business.
It is peak efficiency.
It is primal, and the best part is he was right. They went and got food.
So they eat, they soak in the culture, but then the social battery inevitably starts to fade. They decide they need to pull the plug early. But you know the cardinal rule of weddings. You can never, ever just walk out.
The exit is the most dangerous part of the night. If you announce you are leaving, you trigger the goodbye protocol.
Oh, you're leaving. Where are you staying? How's the flight? Oh, wait. You absolutely must say hi to Aunt Linda before you go.
It adds a minimum of 45 minutes to your night. Minimum. So what do? They lie. They lie right to a guy's face.
Stepping out for a smoke break, man.
The classic feint.
He says they vanished into the night like amateurs with a mission. And I really have to ask you, is that rude? Or is that just necessary self-preservation?
In a wedding of that size, it is absolute mercy. The bride and groom do not need to say goodbye to every single peripheral friend. They are overwhelmed, they are running on fumes, slipping out quietly. The classic Irish goodbye is actually a gift to the hosts, even if it feels sneaky in the moment.
That is a very generous interpretation of lying, but I am entirely with you. So they escape, they survive Saturday, but Sunday is the main event, and the stakes are significantly higher.
The narrator really tries to get his mind right. He does a quick hotel room workout, push-ups, squats. He is trying to generate some endorphins. He wants to feel physically capable of handling the day.
But then the outfits come out, and this is where the comedy just peaks for me. The groom provided the groomsmen with traditional Indian attire.
Sherwanis or kurtas, most likely. Beautiful, elegant garments.
And they are completely, entirely white.
Bright white. For three guys who, as the narrator specifically puts it, treat food and drinks like contact sports.
That is a total recipe for disaster. I honestly got anxiety just reading that section. Wearing all white changes your entire psychological state.
Yeah.
You physically cannot relax.
You enter a state of severe hypervigilance. You can't lean against a wall because what if it's dusty? You can't cross your legs because the bottom of your shoe might brush against your pant leg. And eating. Eating becomes a high-stakes surgical procedure.
He calls it a low-grade panic. Every single sauce is a potential ruin. Every cup of coffee is a ticking time bomb.
It is tactical eating. You are hovering 6 inches over the plate.
And yet, miraculously, they manage to get to the venue spotless. And the venue sounds absolutely incredible. It's a private golf club in Seal Beach.
The setting is wildly cinematic. The ceremony area is set up right in front of a tee box. He mentions that you could watch people teeing off in the background like it was just part of the set design.
It is the ultimate California juxtaposition. The sacred and the recreational, just casually sharing the exact same frame. I do, and four happen at the exact same time.
And the amenities, they went completely all out. Floral decor everywhere, a dedicated specialty coffee barista, a massive dessert bar, a live woke station. It is sensory overload in the best way.
And right in the middle of all this curated perfection, we have the content creator incident.
Oh, God, yes. This is almost too real.
There is someone roaming around the party with a professional camera and a microphone, interviewing random guests for the wedding video.
This is a modern plague, isn't it? It is not just a documentary cameraman anymore. It is a social media correspondent. They want a punchy soundbite. What is your message for the couple? Tell us your craziest funny story.
The narrator and his buddy get completely cornered, put right on the spot. And apparently they fumble it hard.
They absolutely choked. He doesn't say exactly what words came out of their mouths, but he strongly implies it was awkward, disjointed, and completely unusable.
He says, "We didn't even make the final cut. We were just there in spirit."
Honestly, being the outtake is a badge of honor. Everyone tries so hard to be charming and profound for the video guy. Being the guys who are too sweaty and awkward to include, that is authentic. That is real friendship right there.
We're just here for the vibes and the fear of spilling soy sauce on ourselves.
Exactly. Please don't film me. I am currently vibrating with anxiety.
But let's shift gears to the ceremony itself. Because for all the chaos and the food anxiety and the golf, the actual wedding moment was surprisingly quiet.
Yeah, it wasn't a raucous party. No wild dancing. A lot of the ceremony was in Arabic, which the narrator obviously didn't understand. He freely admits he couldn't track everything that was happening. He was just sitting there, letting the atmosphere kind of wash over him.
But then the imam switches to English for the main sermon. And this part really resonated with the narrator. He expected the usual wedding platitudes, love is a journey, two souls entwined, that kind of hallmark stuff.
Dreamy, abstract advice, the greeting card material.
Right. But instead, he says he got practical truth.
I actually wrote down the 4 specific points the narrator highlighted because they are deceptively simple but heavy. 1, care for each other. 2, be tuned into emotions. 3, be selfless. And 4, choose each other daily.
Choose each other daily. That is the heavy hitter right there.
It strips away all the toxic romance of destiny. Destiny is passive. Destiny is something that happened to you in the past. Choosing is active. It means waking up on a random Tuesday when you are annoyed and tired and the dishwasher is broken and still deciding, okay, I am in this. I choose you today.
The narrator calls it wisdom that doesn't expire. It's super interesting, right? He is there for the California sun. He's there to play golf. But the thing that actually sticks with him is this sharp moment of moral clarity.
It grounds the entire trip. You need that emotional anchor. Otherwise, it is just a weekend of gluttony and inside jokes. The ceremony gave the trip a spine, gave it actual meaning.
And then, just like that, boom, 2 p.m., it is over.
That is an aggressively early finish for a wedding.
Seriously early!
Yeah.
But the narrator loved it. It allowed for what he calls the come down. They go back to the Airbnb, they order Mediterranean food, they watch movies on the couch, his wife is there. It's just soft.
You need that softening. We talked earlier about the micro-vacation feeling like a whole season. Part of that is the pacing. You had the high-energy arrival, the golf adventure, the cultural stress of the fancy dinner, the high-stakes wedding attire. You desperately need the Sunday afternoon nap phase to process all of it.
He calls it the calm after the storm of events, just letting the weekend settle into a memory.
It helps with the psychological transition back to reality. If you fly home immediately after the party ends, the whiplash is just too hard. You need the buffer zone.
Speaking of whiplash, Monday hits. The bubble pops.
Back to the real world.
They have a little morning ritual, a quick smoke session, packing up the bags, and then the Uber ride to LAX. And the narrator takes a specific moment to describe their driver.
This was a really nice touch in the writing. An older Mexican gentleman who moved to LA in his 20s.
He describes him as kind and grounded, like someone who has seen enough life to be gentle with it.
I love that description. We so often treat travel staff as NPCs, just non-player characters in our own video game. But this driver was the bridge. He was the human transition point between the dream state of the weekend and the harsh reality of going home. He held space for them.
And the reality of home is, well, the cold tundra of Chicago.
Winter was waiting for them like a creditor. It never left. It was just compounding interest while they were gone.
So they land. and they are immediately back in the grit. But, and this is the big takeaway here, the narrator says the trip felt like a whole season of life.
And that brings us full circle back to the science of it all. Why does a short trip feel so incredibly long?
It is novelty.
Yeah.
Neuroscientists talk about this all the time.
Right.
Our perception of time is entirely based on the creation of new memories.
If you sit at your desk for 3 straight days, you create 0 new distinct memories, so time just vanishes. You look up on Thursday and go, where did the week even go?
Exactly. It all blurs together into one gray block. But in these 72 hours, they had so much. The Godfather viewing, the one-wood golf round, the Nikkah dinner, the white clothes panic, the bubble tea sanctuary, the imam's advice. That is a massive, dense cluster of new data. Your brain writes that down and interprets it as a long duration.
So he lived somewhere warmer for a bit, not just in weather, but in friendship and celebration. California gold. It is a phenomenal reminder that you do not need to take 2 weeks off and go to Europe to reset your operating system. You really just need 72 hours, some really good friends, and a willingness to look a little ridiculous in rental gear or white clothes.
And maybe a bubble tea.
Oh, definitely the bubble tea. Absolutely essential for survival.
So here is where we are going to leave you today. The narrator ends by saying the weekend left him lighter than when he left. We always think of travel as this heavy logistical burden, packing, airports, Ubers, schedules. But if you do it right, if you lean into the absurdity of it, it actually takes the weight off.
The physical baggage is heavy, but the mental baggage gets so much lighter.
That is the goal. But, thinking about all this memory density stuff, it makes me wonder if we have the whole concept of vacations wrong.
What do you mean?
Like, maybe we shouldn't be traveling to escape our lives. Maybe we owe it to ourselves to intentionally orchestrate these high-density, absurd weekends just to stretch out our perception of our own lifespans. Like injecting alternate realities into a regular month just to remind ourselves who we are outside of our routines.
I love that. The ultimate luxury isn't a resort. It is just zero-stakes time with people who knew you before you had a mortgage.
Exactly. So next time you are dreading a wedding obligation or a quick weekend trip, just remember, it might be the season of life you didn't know you needed. And, hey, if you happen to see a guy in a hoodie intensely watching the Bears game at a formal event,
Give him a nod. He is just looking for a little touch of home.
but do not ask him if he's leaving early. Let the man take his fake smoke break in peace. That is it for this deep dive. Stay warm out there, everyone.
Safe travels!